The First Amendment is sure getting a workout today. In some 350 newspapers across the country, op-eds are reinforcing the value of a free press, a press that is under frequent and strident assault by the American president, Donald Trump.
They are the fake, disgusting news.
They are the worst.
Those very dishonest people back there.
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
It's frankly disgusting the way the press is able to write whatever they want to write.
They are the enemy of the people.
I would never kill them, but I do hate them. And some of them are such lying, disgusting people. It's true.
And this morning, a new insult. The fake news media is the opposition party. This tweet as Mr. Trump reacts to that wave of op-eds urging him to stop using such language. In the meantime, another eruption over free speech. Ex-CIA Chief John Brennan got his security clearances revoked yesterday. Brennan has offered frequent and often biting criticism of Donald Trump. In his own stinging op-ed today, Brennan expresses concern. Quote, Mr. Trump clearly has become more desperate to protect himself and those close to him, which is why he made the politically motivated decision to revoke my security clearance in an attempt to scare into silence others who might dare to challenge him. So let's talk about all of this. Joining me now is Frank Sesno. He's the director of the School of Media and Public Affairs at George Washington University, and legal expert Bob Bianchi is here too. Welcome to both of you. Bob, I just want to start with you in this notion. Mr. Brennan says that he was stripped of his security clearance because he's an outspoken critic of President Trump. President Trump went through a series of, well, the White House went through a series of explanations about why he decided to revoke the security clearance and then settled upon Mr. Brennan was dangerous to this country. How would you characterize it?
Hypocrisy when you have somebody called Michael Flynn, who is now a convicted felon, who's still allowed to keep his security clearance. Whether you like Brennan or you don't like him, these people have a value to bring to the table in order to give information or data. And as he says, it has a chilling effect all the way down the line. The message is clear. If you say something about me, do something I don't like, go against the policy, this very valuable and coveted security clearance is going to be taken away from you in a bitter, egomaniacal, not good for the United States security. In fact, it harms this country. And these kind of antics that are going on where people are being twisted and tortured simply because they don't agree with policies is really disconcerting, because it's putting our country's national interests at stake. And I can tell you that as a prosecutor, I want people with the talent of John Brennan, even if he's not my appointment, even if he's not my guy, and people like John Brennan having the ability to at least help in case we need him. This is just getting out of control. And the sad last point, Carol, is it is striking to me that those that support, and I understand the support, that's fine, can't look at why things like this are being done and are actually applauding it. And had it been done by anyone else that they didn't like, they would have had him on a cross.
Okay, strong words from Bob Bianchi. Frank says no. So 350 newspapers across the country have published editorials saying Mr. Trump should stop, you know, calling journalists enemies of the people. Are these two stories connected in any way? You know,
they are completely and totally connected, because they fundamentally come back to the fact that this president does not tolerate criticism, does not understand that the fundamental and first part of his job is to be a public person, is to be the president of all Americans, and is to not only tolerate, but to support and encourage differing points of view. There's not a president who's stepped into the limelight, or a governor or a mayor or a school superintendent for that matter, who doesn't understand that in a free and open society, criticism comes with the territory, and it encourages you as the public official to reach across differences, to try to build coalitions, to do what used to be called politics as the art of the possible. What we're in now, though, is very dangerous territory. I completely agree with Bob. This is unprecedented. I covered the White House for many years. I was the bureau chief at CNN, as you know, for many years. I worked with other White Houses, Pentagons, officials at all levels. They understood that there was an adversarial relationship. Sometimes they called privately to scream about the coverage they thought was wrong or unfair, but they never attacked the fundamental institutions. They never attacked journalists or others as enemies of the people. The President of the United States should be bringing people together, not dividing them. And what we have now is not only dividing and division.
I will say this, strong words from both of you, but Bob, I think that people's opinions of Donald Trump pretty much baked in, and that these 350 newspapers publishing these editorials won't make a difference or change anyone's mind. That's the sentiment out there, Bob.
Listen, I have a lot of friends who were in law enforcement and worked with me as a chief executive law enforcement officer. I don't disagree with you, but it is time that people start looking at the fundamental institutions of this country and getting to the press. Look, I was the head prosecutor, advised and consent, appointed by the governor. I was under a microscope by the media every single day. I get it. It can be frustrating. Sometimes it's even unfair. But I would never have thought to deny access to the press, villainize the press, because I have enough understanding of history as a history major, as well as a public servant, that when you eliminate the press and you start attacking institutions like prosecutors' offices and judges, you have begun the dismantling of those checks and balances that keep us a free society. And I don't know if this is being done on purpose or if it's being done out of naivety, but when you have people that continue to support, it will continue to go on. People need to wake up, and I'm even talking about friends of mine. I'm like, I can't believe that you guys would allow the very institutions that we honorably serve. They're not flawless. We're not flawless. No human is flawless, but we achieve better when we work together. To tell the people that you can't believe what you read, hey, I do media all the time, Carol, and love being on your show. But before I come on here, I read this news outlet, that news outlet, the other news outlet, and I wash it against what I call the most important thing we possess, common sense, and then make a conclusion. And if something is done is wrong or is not right, like attacking the press and taking people's security clearances, villainizing judges and prosecutors, I say enough.
Okay, and Frank, just a final word. Will these editorials in these 350 or so newspapers make a difference?
Yes, I think they will. I don't know that they're going to change massive numbers of minds, but what we need to have now is calm, cool, rational explanation to people about what's at stake. In the case of the media, we can't assume, and we shouldn't assume, I think it's a big mistake that many in the media make, that people understand how they work, how decisions are made, that this isn't some kind of fly-by-night thing and suddenly junk just appears in the paper or online or on television. It's a very important thing. I want to point out one in particular. The San Diego Tribune has a very strong editorial, but they've created essentially a link to a site that says how we work. They explain the difference between an editorial page and the news page, about how news judgments are made. It's time for citizens of all stripes, from wherever we come from on the ideological spectrum, to take a breath and to understand that information is both power and it's also democracy. That includes information we don't like. It includes criticism and all the rest. And I would just close with this. For those who would side with the president now, let them think about what happens and how they're going to feel when a Democrat or a liberal or somebody else is in office, and the voices they're going to want to hear and to be sure are engaged, and the criticism then. We're talking about something, our institutions, that goes well beyond the moment, and this is fundamental to who we are and what we are as a country.
And I'll leave it there. Frank Sesno, Bob Bianchi, thanks to both of you.